What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tones Overthinks It, the show where I think too much to make up for the people who don't think at all.
Okay, everybody.
Oh, God, it's this piece of shit again.
It is November 29th. It's approximately 9 o'clock in the morning, and we are here at Vernon Police Department.
Why?
We're here for a number of reasons today. First and foremost, we want to talk to the Chief of Police, the new Chief, John Kelly, and we want to find out exactly why his police officers think they can pick and choose which laws of ours they're going to enforce and when.
Something you've never actually provided tangible evidence of them doing. But then in your mind, anyone who gave you an answer you didn't like is apparently breaking the law. Hey, fair warning, if I'm going to have to sit through this bullshit, I'm not pulling any punches.
We'd also like to talk to the records department and inspect some records here today. One record in particular is case number 21-14794, involving what should have been a simple trespass.
So far, the only person I've ever seen trespassing is a particular jackass narcissist who likes to dress up like a hobo cab driver.
Now, the complainant has tried to follow up with this department on numerous attempts to gain record of this case file. He was told approximately 10 days after the call and the report should have been handled that the report was not completed by the officer.
Well, yeah, I've already covered in a previous video that records requests, especially from police, do take time. Also, are you referring to yourself in third person, or are you just trying to poke your nose into somebody else's case? I mean, you're on the verge of literally doing that to your camera. I mean, seriously, take a step back.
The officer's name is Robert, badge number 256. So he gave the department more than enough time to complete this report, and once again reached out, looks about another 10 days later. And the police department has informed him not to come to the police department, that he couldn't talk to the shift supervisor about the officer who has failed to fill out his police report.
Wait, you just said a moment ago that they're still working on it. So how could they be working on a report that the officer has never filed? I know you like to think that when you confuse people that it's because you're smarter than them, but let's be honest, you do say some things that are really inconsistent. Not to mention you tend to use big words to sound smart, but completely overlook what their meaning is.
And not to come down to the police department until someone tells him that the records are available.
Yeah, that's usually how it works. Also, sorry if I'm cutting in too much, I'm just trying to regulate how long we have to stare into his stupid face.
So I find all that stuff kind of unbecoming of our public servants. I find it completely unacceptable. We're also going to be looking into the criminal history of Mr.
Yeah, unlike you, I actually have respect for people's right to privacy, so I'm going to be blurting out the names of anyone you mention that is not a public official, instead of putting their name on YouTube without their permission.
Relative to my family court case. We are going to ask the records custodian to take a look at the personnel file of Officer Roberts and Officer Hammock. And we're going to see how all of this goes. After we leave here, we're off to the courthouse.
Ooh, are you sure you want to go back there? I mean, your last visit didn't exactly end well.
Something is happening here. Hopefully the supervisor knows what's going on and makes them aware of what our laws are and allows me to exercise my rights unobstructed, because that's the purpose of today's...
I need you to leave.
I'm sorry?
I need you to leave.
Why am I being asked to leave? Yeah.
Excuse me.
What? I'm on public property. It's not right.
You're not just with the building and you're borrowing.
I'm waiting for police.
Put your hands back.
No, put your hands back. You don't have any authority over me. I haven't broken any law.
I haven't violated any laws.
But then maybe you learned your lesson. What can I say? I'm an optimist.
And I can guarantee those folks aren't going to like me there very much either. We are going to inspect and obtain records that we need to save my daughter's life today. And it's just that simple. I have a feeling they're going to try to arrest me before I can actually get the records. But we'll see what happens.
So, let's get down to business here.
Well, no Frauditor video is complete without dead air. So, hit it, boys.
Prepare to fast forward!
Preparing to fast forward.
Fast forward!
Fast forwarding, sir.
Yes. I'd like to take a look at case number 21-14794.
14794?
Yes, ma'am. 21-14794. It should have been completed by a Officer Roberts, badge number 256, and I'd also like to take a look at his personnel file, just disciplinaries and commendations, please.
Okay, hold on, please.
So how does finding out about this officer's record going to save your daughter's life? But then I'm still waiting for an explanation how you not having to wear a mask in the courthouse does that.
Yeah, they're not going to have it because the officer doesn't do his job. And that's a serious problem.
And I base that on absolutely nothing.
Take a look at press releases while we wait, I suppose, right?
Sure, because you're a totally legitimate member of the press.
Please.
Well, I guess a man's gotta have a hobby. Or a fetish. I don't kink shame.
Alright. You said 14794, right?
14794, yes.
Okay, so I looked that up. It's not done yet.
Right. I think we have a serious problem in regard to that because this is, the call came in on November 6th. It was supposed to be a simple trespass. And it appears that Officer Roberts has completely neglected his duty and failed to file the police report that's supposed to be going along with this call to service.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
I know this might be difficult for you to comprehend, but you're not actually the center of the universe. So things will not be ready when you want them to be. They'll be ready when they'll be ready.
You do his voicemail if you want. I have nothing to do with
Is he available here today for comment on this?
No, he's not.
Oh, okay.
I believe he works second shift. I don't know if he'll be here.
Second shift? All right. Can I take a look at his personnel file, his disciplinaries and his
If you wanna do
commendations?
that, we'll just have you fill this out.
Well, what is this?
Why, that's a FOIA request. You know, those things that you do all the time that you should totally recognize in an instant and can totally do online instead of having to show up in person, but you choose to anyways because you want to find an excuse to complain and act like a petulant man-child.
It's just an FOI thing, so if you want to write exactly what you want here, okay? If you could fill out any information here, and then don't worry about the body.
Well, I'm not requesting records to retain. I'm just simply looking to inspect his personnel file while I'm physically
I
here
don't
today.
have access to that.
Is it just me, or does this all seem very familiar?
Who has access to the personnel files of the police officers
If
here?
you're not filming my face, I'm not really comfortable with that.
I'm so sorry. You are a public servant. Maybe you should get a job in the private sector. I do need some help with, oh yeah, look at that.
Dismissed.
So, am I being denied services here?
Oh my god, that voice crack. Are you gonna cry? Also, in all seriousness, she did give you a form to make an actual records request and explain that you can't inspect them there at the police station, and we have already covered for the 1,000,000th time that you have a means to inspect records elsewhere. So you were actually provided all the service that they could provide you, but then you chose to act like a colossal head, and she justly decided to end the conversation with you. It's called humility. Get used to it.
Hello? Well, there you have it, folks. Now we're going to go live.
We do not care.
Yes, hi. I'd like to do a physical inspection on an arrest record pertaining to a... There was a case file that was not yet public for quite some time. I've been after it for almost a year now.
And in all that time, have you considered the possibility that the record you're asking for either A, doesn't exist, or B, has nothing to do with you, therefore you have no entitlement to it? It's called a record request, not a record guarantee.
I believe the arrest was made in March of 2020. Right. Well, I don't need to get records from the chief. Usually your records department here is responsible for providing all of that public information, but your records custodian is denying me records right now.
You are so stupid.
And I just saw another citizen walk in and successfully acquire the records she was after by going through you. So I'm wondering if you would be so kind to do that same courtesy for me.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Can I help you?
Oh, hang on. I got. Are you the chief? All right. I got Chief John Kelly out here now. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly. Tyrant Slayer Studios. Nice to meet you.
I don't feel well. I'm not shaking your hand.
All right.
I don't want to doubt the man, but I'd like to think he didn't want to shake your hand because he knows fully well who you are.
Hey, well, thanks for showing up to work anyway. I appreciate that. Listen, we've got a number of serious issues I'd like to address with you, and I'd like to get your comments on these issues if you'd be so kind to give me some of your time today.
What can I help you with?
Well, first of all, your records department is open right now, right?
It is.
Okay. Does it look open to you?
What do you need?
I came down here for a number of records to inspect a number of records. I was being helped, and then when I asked for the personnel file to inspect the personnel file of one of your officers, I was met with a steel door. Is there a reason why you guys are withholding and obstructing public information from the public as opposed to just letting me inspect the record?
Because actual record inspection is not available at that location. No matter how much you want it to be, if it's not there, it's not there. I don't know how much more I can dumb this down.
Who are you looking for?
Well, I'm looking for a number of case files, and I'm looking for the personnel file on Officer Hammock and Officer Roberts, badge number 256. I just want disciplinaries and commendations. It should take 10 minutes to print that stuff out. I could be right out here in this lobby waiting patiently. I'll go ahead and review those records. And then from there, we'll go ahead and look at some arrests and some case numbers, one of which is case number 21-14794 involving
Wow, you really are going to cry over getting the door shut on you.
Officer Roberge, who has failed. Roberge, R-O-B-E-R-G-E. Roberge, I don't know how to pronounce it. Probably butchering that, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But he's had about a month's time to fill out his police report.
And now it's a month? I thought you said it was a year.
Relevant to a trespass that he responded to on 11/6.
They know what the case number is.
Yeah, they know the case number. They don't have a case. He failed.
It's not done.
He failed to fill out the report. Is what the problem
All right,
is.
we'll get it done.
So the chief has made it abundantly clear, when it gets done, it'll be done. No amount of whining is going to make them speed it up.
Okay, so that's one issue, but I still need to look at his personnel file. I want to find out how many disciplinaries he has before I leave here today. Okay, the other issue is I've been calling your department about criminal violations of our laws. Connecticut general statutes, felony statutes, misdemeanor statutes, criminal statutes, violations of criminal statutes. Calling this police department and they're telling me I need to go and address those criminal violations in a civil court proceeding. Does that make any sense to you?
Actually, it makes perfect sense because when it comes to police, the courts, YouTube's copyright system, anywhere that you're clearly proven wrong by someone, you immediately assume and conclude they're guilty of a criminal act, when any rational person with a functioning brain would clearly see they are not.
They're refusing to uphold and enforce criminal law, and they're refusing to issue citations, arrests, or even address an issue. They refused to do a well-being check a few days ago. Are you aware of that?
Well, let's consider who the person demanding to do that is.
I'll look into it.
Well, these are very serious problems, and there's a 12-year-old minor child whose life has been in grave danger, whose life was neglected, who your officer, Hammock, refused to do a well-being check on about 72 hours ago. Do you find that acceptable?
Nobody cares! Nobody! And you need to shut up!
I'll look into it.
Okay. Would you please look into why your custodian of records has her window still closed? Okay. I want my records.
We're open for business.
Okay.
We can service requests.
She's not responding to me at the window. Can you please? She has. Right. Well, are you going to get the records for me?
If they're available.
Okay, great. That would be great.
Aw, see, Tim? The nice police chief is going to look into it. Doesn't that make you feel better?
But I would also...
The personnel files, I will acknowledge a request, and we will work on that.
On the personnel files? Okay.
Correct.
Now, would you be able to comment on... I know you weren't the chief. I know you can't really speak for anyone else's work, but as incoming chief, you must have been briefed to some degree by the previous chief, James Kelly.
At this point, I am certain this chief was fully briefed on who you were when he took office, because he's letting your BS roll right off him and giving you nothing to work with.
Did he make you aware of a Freedom of Information Act request that's nearly 6 months old that's been violated, that he's used the town attorney to block?
I'm aware of that, and that
Right.
request is ready to go.
It is ready to go. Interesting. Because I called you about 2 weeks ago and you never returned my call. Is there a reason for that?
I can think of plenty of reasons, Tim.
I left you a voicemail saying that information was here. Somebody called the town hall looking for it.
For the town attorney, because the previous chief
Yeah.
wouldn't communicate with me, records wouldn't communicate with me, your department wouldn't communicate with me. And for right, but to clarify for the audience here, I did not, and I apologize for that.
Okay.
Thank you for calling me back. I sincerely appreciate that.
Okay.
However, if I may explain to the audience that the previous chief that this man just replaced, thought that I need to acquire those records through the town attorney and has been blocking my access to those records for 6 months.
Oh, God, do we really have to hear him drone on and on and on?
I've been calling the town hall and trying to reach the town attorney for like 3 or 4 months. And finally, I got a voice message, and he still has yet to return my call. In fact, it seems to me there's 2 or 3, maybe even 4 attorneys on retainer by this town. So even getting the town attorney is next to impossible. And I also find it alarming that Dan Champagne, the mayor, is holding dual office right now, and I haven't been able to get a hold of him either to address the criminal issues and the negligence taking place in this police department. I hope you are the man to fix it. I hope you could kindly give me the courtesy to educate my records, my custodian here, the custodian of records, that she's a public servant.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Public servant does not mean slave. Public servant does not mean personal servant. Get over yourself.
And that the citizens of the United States have rights. One of those rights is protected by the First Amendment. It's called freedom of press. When she is in the official course of her official duties, she has no right to privacy. So when I walk over to this window to inspect records, to submit a FOIA request, to ask questions, or conduct business here with my public servants, I have every right to film her. She is breaking the law and denying me services by closing that window and obstructing my right to public information.
No, she closed the window because you were being an insufferable dickhead. You may have freedom of the press, but you don't have freedom of consequence when you treat people like garbage.
I would like you to educate that young lady and let her know that she can't do anything about the public filming her in the course of her public duties. I would like the young lady to be professional and treat me like a human being and finish the business that we were conducting at the window, because as chief, you've got far too many, way more important things to be doing. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, he does. And yet he's here talking to you.
So what exactly do you need right now?
I need an explanation as to why your officer hasn't filled out case number 2114794. That's Officer Roberts. I need the personnel file of Hammock and Roberts to inspect. It's not anything I need to leave this department with or take home. That doesn't require a FOIA request.
I'm not going to provide those right now.
I can work with you on that. I'll give you a little bit, okay? But normally I'd give you a hard time about that, just so you know.
My God, that's got to be the first honest and self-aware statement he's ever made.
All right.
The case being done, I have to look into it.
Right. Okay.
So you're not going to get that today either.
Mm-hmm. So no personnel files, no case file on that. Now, more important, there's a who I've been after most of his records for some time now. One of these records has not been adjudicated until as of late, as far as I understand. There was an arrest made, I think it was in March of 2020. It's one of his last 2 arrests by this department in this town. I'd like to inspect a record of that arrest. I don't have that case number off the top of my head, but it's his name, and you guys can find that information. I'd also like the last 3 responses to the residents of she's located at. But you'll have into. I need to look at their case files.
You ever stop and think the reason you don't get these things so easily is because you're way too eager to put it all out on the internet? Like you do with phone numbers of members of law enforcement or certain buildings? Just a thought.
And I guess that'll do it. No explanation as to why your officer wouldn't fill out his report? You said a month to do it.
I don't know.
You don't know. But do you find that concerning? Do you think that the citizens have a legitimate beef with your records custodian here?
I'd like to look into it further.
Okay. Please educate your custodian of records on our rights today, sir.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he'll get right on it. You may be too deluded to realize it, but I think everyone watching clearly could see that chief really, really wasn't interested in any of your long, senseless, whining dribble. Oh, and the citizens don't have a legitimate beef with the records custodian, just you. Because you want everything now and you want it your way, and she wouldn't give it to you. Because, shocker, you're not that important. That's why no one wants to take your complaints. That's why no one wants to pursue criminal charges against people who actually did nothing more than not give you the answer you wanted. And certainly no one's going to donate to your fundraiser that you have suspiciously worded like a charitable organization, because no one wants to donate money to a small, pathetic, middling, angry little man who speaks ill of the recently deceased and of their grieving loved ones. But then again, maybe I'm just overthinking it. And if you don't like my opinion of you, and you don't like the fact that I use the entire length of your content under fair use, then let me leave you with the words of a far better man than you will ever be. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you like what you see here and you want me to see me look at even more stupid people in the future, feel free to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Till next time.